Tech drama! Apple is in hot water over fair competition laws as Spotify calls on the big daddy EU for help. If drama is not your cup of cake, we have found weird and wonderful new instruments that you wanna see. And do you know there is a new AI hardware synth that just came out? Yes, hardware. And it looks futuristic. And no, it can't be your girlfriend. The legendary vibes of Ibiza's space are being resurrected and Carl Cox is in the driver's seat. And the turtles! Oh my god, have you seen the turtles? In our big story this week, Apple is getting slapped with a hefty fine by the European Union over its business practices. Recently, it let developers to know that they were increasing fees by 27%. The EU didn't take the news kindly though, as it is now fining Apple on what it calls non-competitive business practices. Why is this big news for the music world, you say? Spotify, one of the bigger developers to raise a sting about the increased fees, called these changes outrageous. This meant that Apple, who doesn't charge itself for listening up like Apple Music on the platform, could use those funds to develop more features and exclusive content. It also means that if your music wasn't on the maker's platform, access to your music will be limited. With increased fees to Spotify, it's also likely that they will decrease payments to the artists for the streams they would be getting on the platform. This trickle down means Apple could then increase its streaming revenue with the same artists, making it impossible for Spotify or other platforms from really competing in the music world. While this might sound good as a takedown of Spotify has become, this would be a big time failure for most artists. Remember that Apple is also pushing artists to make music spatial audio compatible to get listed on their playlist. This will force artists to buy expensive 3D audio and surround sound hardware just to be able to get listed properly on Apple's music platform in the future. This is all what Spotify thinks is bad faith pricing by Apple, and it does seem a little unjust to charge more fees that Apple doesn't have to pay. Where this goes, we will have to wait and see. But let's make things more competitive, not less, so artists have more ways to connect to their listeners. Going from business to performance, BLL Instruments announced something really weird this week. Described as synth that you can strum. I don't see any strings though. And looking like a plank of wood with a weird whiteboard with holes attached to the front, the Elyra is a synth, kinda. The device does have some cool specifications like 16 voice polyphony and over 1024 user preset slots and a virtual analog engine that has FM capabilities, but I'm still just confused by the looks. With a €1,200 price tag, it is not cheap either, but if you grew up deciding to be the greatest keytar player of all time, this might be your ticket to compete with this guy. If desktop synths are more your thing and you have a love of all things granular like I do, this unit is probably your speed. While the Elyra look weird, Oddment Audio Groc has an odd sounding name but a much more clean design. The orange comes fully loaded with 16 encoders, 4 LFOs, 4 envelopes, velocity, key and polyphonic 80, as well as the ability to customize modulation curves. It is also loaded with a massive list of effects that includes tape echo, shimmer reverbs, and many more that you wouldn't expect on a piece of hardware. Pricing hasn't been announced yet, but this could be a really great device to get your grainy goodness on. We are a new channel and we need your help. If you're enjoying the content up to now, please consider like and subscribe. It really helps a ton. A piece of hardware that lets you do software things better is now available. Having been announced a year ago, Nextar is finally shipping the CS12 channel strip device that is currently specific to Logic only. The device is set up so you don't have to do much in order to keep your workflow going quickly. With out-of-the-box support for all the Logic stock plugins as well as the third-party plugins from Universal Audio, Plugin Alliance, FabFilter and many more, all the brightly colored knobs will instantly be mapped to different parameters of each plugin. You can also set up custom maps for any plugins not immediately supported and share them on Nextar's own platform using the Nextar software. Nextar is saying mapping to the other software like FL Studio, Ableton and other DAWs is coming. But for now, if you're a Logic user, this kind of sounds like a logical purchase. If you ever hit the road and thought to yourself, I would love to have a keyboard that I could travel with to record an idea I have on a train, well, I might just have a device for you. Alana Balagot has created what might just be the smallest MIDI keyboard ever. The MIDI card, which is as big as you'd think with that name, can fit in your wallet but still has 18 keys, octave up and down buttons, can do 3 levels of velocity, has sustain and modulation keys, and even a USB-C connector. While AI has been all anyone can talk about in regards to software, developer Arvin Sanyev has made a machine that could make AI a bit more hardware-based. In what looks like a love child of an MPC and Technic turntable, the appropriately named Spin is supposed to be an AI music synthesizer. Just give it the mood, genre, type of sounds, and BPM, and a device that interacts with the AI to let you control the sounds using digital vinyl system, so you can scratch, slow down, zoom in, and listen as it plays the generated track. Additional paths give you even more control as you can splice and thumb out chops, creating even more cut-up offerings. Sanjeev used a new Mark PT01 turntable that he deconstructed, then added an X-Wax DVC package and a Behringer audio driver for output. Finally, a Raspberry Pi is the brains that is using the music gen based on the Refusion AI model platform as the basis for generative output. This is one of the devices that no one asked for, but could be exactly what we need in the AI world ahead. If you are just not into using AI to make music, maybe VR is more your speed as an immersive way to make music. Hidden Mix has announced its fully compatible VR DAW RipX that is built entirely in a 3D environment for Apple Vision Pro. Complete with stem separation, 3D instruments like keyboards and drums, and non-waveform visualized sound, the DAW is really meant to bring you into the virtual world. It still has a long way to go before it becomes a full-time replacement for software like Ableton, because VST support hasn't been fully finished out yet. But let's hope that the development like this is only going to get faster and faster. Similar to the Algorithms DJ platform, you can get RipX now to get your virtual music making today. So which would you rather have? Let us know in the comments what you are more interested in, AI hardware or VR DAWs. Recently, Yuhi had announced that its free wavetable synth Zebralette was going to be released, and now a new public beta is available for the free synth. Although only a single oscillator with a single MSEG modulator, Zebralette continues to be an incredibly popular device for people wanting free synth tools. The full-featured Zebra 3 still doesn't have a release date, so for now, just the public beta will have to whet your appetite for Yui's take on wavetables. Time for a bit history lesson. In the mid-1980s, synthwave was conquering the world and synthesis was heading in a more digital direction. Yamaha's DX7 release had ushered in an era of total digital weirdness that lives on as an iconic sound even today. Roland then was still releasing analog devices, but not with the same success as the Juno 60. Their Alpha Juno line was definitely the forgotten red-headed stepchild in the Juno lines. Software developer Tal has decided these lost devices needed some love and have released an emulation titled the Tal Phalpha. While the emulation sticks close to the original classic hardware, they have added a few new FX processes to help make a modern spin on the original device. They've also modeled the look after the older Juno 60 rather than keeping the more bland alpha look of the hardware. If analog is your thing, this plugin could be a good addition to your library for a low price point of just $64. Last week we asked everyone their best guess as to what the next QTZ Animal Box Audio was going to come up with their next device. And drum roll please! Turtles! Their new Time Turtle plugin is a delay that again will brighten any music making session with a gorgeous, this is so cute, isn't that so special? Yeah, that turtle is translucent and looks like just needs me to hug it and love it and care for it forever and ever. Oh, you are still here? Go grab your free delay and hopefully they keep giving us a fun zoo of cute little animals to play with. Canadian producer Richie Hawtin, also known as Plastic Man, has a new album out. And while I don't typically report on new music, the interview he gave about the sound had my hair standing on end. While in the middle of a jam session, Richie's studio was hit by lightning during a crazy storm. The lights on all his devices started to blink and it all hummed and then went silent. At first he thought the 1.25 gigawatts may have meant a costly build was in the future, and while he didn't need to tap his red shoes together and repeat "there's no place like home" to get it all working again, it did change the sound of his devices. Inspired by the new circuitry connection that were coming from his hardware that he described as even more distorted than ever, made him make some of the hardest tracks he has ever done. I definitely don't recommend trying this at home, but now I can't stop thinking my viewers having one synth on the one hand and lightning catcher on the other sitting in front of the building. Like the Back to the Future scene, but with the synthesizers. Now that I have told you about all the cool new gear and software that is being released today, there is even more coming soon, and releases are going to get more common according to the one study. According to the USD analytics, the music making market has a big potential for growth, with strong signs of growth over the half decade. Using information from companies like Ableton, Korg, Fender, and many more, the analytics group sees strong potential in increased sales of MIDI controllers, drum machines, synthesizers, and softwares. I can't say that I'm surprised, as more people look to take on their music making hobbies, and with software making it easier than ever to get into the field. In fact, I think I have a whole YouTube channel built around this whole idea of people wanting to learn to make music. What's the name of that channel again? I just can't think of it. Millennials have been blamed for everything from not wanting to work to the rise of emojis as a form of communication. Now, one club owner has blamed them for the UK's club closure problem. His reasoning is that they are just not drinking enough. How to millennials, what are we going to do now? So if you're a millennial, your task, if you choose to accept it, is to drink more this weekend. This tape will self-destruct in 5, 4, 3... Hold up, don't do that. It is more expensive than ever to go out on the weekends, so I don't agree with this interesting take on club issues. But I don't think the problem can be solved by getting sloshed and drunk dialing your ex on Sunday morning. Going from the club to an iconic venue, Red Rocks in Denver, Colorado has hosted some of the greatest musical acts the world has ever seen. With its naturally occurring acoustic reverberations, it makes it a spectacular venue to see your favorite artist. One thing that you shouldn't bring when you head out to the hills is your chewing gum, which is actually prohibited at the venue. That hasn't stopped attendees from sticking their used substances under the benches in the stands. Ew! A volunteer group called Friends of the Red Rocks announced on Facebook that they had removed over 22 kilograms or 50 pounds in American measurements from the revenue recently. What the? Oh my god, that's a lot of contraband material. As winter starts to turn to spring, our dreams of beach partying and summers on islands like Ibiza are starting to come to mind. This year, the godfather of techno, Carl Cox, is opening a new venue for your summer explorations. A new take on the iconic Ibiza club space, which was named the best club in the world 6 times, but shut its doors in 2016, is opening a new venue, Space Riccion, on June 2nd. Cox will be playing 9 hours on opening night, and in typical Space fashion, will feature throughout the summer some of the biggest acts in the world. And now I leave you tuned into your summer dreams until next week.